On today's episode of Locked On Blue Jays, we're going to be talking about maybe what the Jays still have left in the tank for their offseason.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Well, and Carter, honestly, before we get into this, I have to tell this story because I thought it was so funny today. So I'm at work. I get a text from Carter, and he goes, "I honestly don't know if I'm going to be able to do the podcast today." I'm like, "Oh my God, like, did he get in a car accident? Like, what happened?" Right? I'm like, "Okay, here we go." So I go, "What's going on?" He goes, "Well, I went to the dentist and they froze my face. I can't feel anything." I'm like, okay, that goes away. It's not going to be a 6-hour process.
It almost was, though, actually. I had my my appointment at 3:00 this afternoon, and I felt it until about 9. So that's about 6 hours. Obviously, it was a lot stronger at the start. But the reason I was there is because when I was a kid, I did not brush my teeth properly whatsoever. So I have a couple of cavities from there. And I've had this filling for a long time. And I guess I was just eating almonds a couple of months ago, and the whole thing just like snapped. So I had like a quarter of my tooth just gone. There's food in there. This whole big thing was horrible.
Well, I told you about when I chipped my tooth. It's like right in the corner of my front tooth, and I was eating chips, and then I'm like, geez, that chip was a lot harder than usual. And I go, oh man, that's my tooth.
Yeah, like, damn, my tooth doesn't feel the same right now.
Yeah, it was just weird. So whatever, I gotta go as well. I gotta book something.
Hey, at least I've been making you eat rocks quite a bit recently. So, and back in your childhood, people making you eat rocks all the
Nobody's
time.
making me eat rocks. Come on. But I thought it was funny. I was really hoping that like they were gonna put you under so that we could get some like funny videos.
Yeah, not quite the wisdom teeth yet, but that should be coming in the future. Hopefully, there's no phones in that doctor's office.
Oh no, I'll be driving you, so I'll make sure that there's a phone in the vicinity.
Now that freezing was not great though. I actually felt like my whole right side of my face was like almost like drooped. It looked like I was having a stroke. It wasn't great, and like he used quite a bit. Like, I mean, I'd rather have him use a ton of freezing than me just feel everything during the procedure. But I mean, hey, we're here now and I'm feeling good. So.
Yeah, we're rolling. And we thought it'd be cool today to do like sort of like a little GM mode. That's what I sort of titled it. You can see on like today's show, like what's on tap is a little bit of like the MLB, the show, like, you're taking over as the GM. So I don't know, like we look back at the offseason of what we've done. The whole Shohei Ohtani thing was just a disaster, honest to God. Like I don't know if I've ever felt worse than the day that it got announced that he wasn't coming here. But going forward, the rest of this offseason, we've sort of put together a couple things. We haven't told each other yet who we've picked or anything, but who would be one guy, or if you were Ross Atkins for the rest of the remaining of the offseason, what would you do? Who would you go after?
Yeah, I've been saying this pretty much every podcast, it feels like, and I believe that the Blue Jays really need a fourth outfielder. So you go over it. The pitching, the starting rotation's fine. The bullpen looked great last year. We even added to it this year. And then the infield is pretty crowded already. There are a bunch of options. None of them are necessarily like amazing, I would say, at second base and third base, but there's enough depth there that that shouldn't be a problem, I don't think. But yeah, when you go to the outfield, Nathan Lucas as your fourth outfielder, in my opinion, that's not going to play. So one thing that this team has been struggling to find for a while now is left-handed hitting. And one guy that is still available, probably only going to command between $6 to $7 million a year, is Eddie Rosario. Eddie Rosario looked great last season. He had 122 hits, 255 average, 21 home runs, which would have been probably, I think, third on the team around where Bo Bichette was, if I'm remembering correctly. 74 RBIs and a 755 OPS. And this guy has the clutch gene. In 2021, during that playoff stretch with the Braves, he looked unbelievable. In the NLCS, he had 3 homers over 6 games with an OPS of 1,647. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, if you were playing, you probably would have been around 2,000. But I mean,
well, I mean that we're talking about me here. Like,
yeah, it's tough. It's tough to compare, obviously. But this is the guy that has been doing it over his whole career. I mean, career 268 hitter. It's very streaky, which fits the Jays mold perfectly.
Yep.
Not exactly what we're looking for, but I mean, a guy that's actually going to give us production out of the batting box for this offense. I mean, you can't really say no to that. Yeah, like I said, left-handed hitter. He's done it before, so that's a great presence to have in the locker room. Obviously, this Jays team does not have a ton of playoff experience. That's because they can't seem to win a game in the wild card series, which I mean, hopefully is solved if we can get a guy like Eddie Rosario and with all the other guys we've gotten. I mean, Justin Turner's already came, IKF, and then
Actually, we just saw videos of IKF too.
yeah,
So that was so funny, man.
there's a few interview videos of him saying where he's from, number 7, all that fun stuff. But yeah, if we can get Eddie Rosario, I mean, like the thing is, Kevin Kiermaier is a guy that has had injury concerns over the past few years. George Springer, obviously, same thing. So this is a guy that we're going to need in the outfield. I mean, he's not a great defender at all, but like I was saying before, it wouldn't be the worst thing in my opinion to see him make a few funny plays out there in the outfield. And we're only really signing him for his bat. He's not going to have to play every day. There are guys like Cody Bellinger who could sign, but I don't think he'd be very happy with like a part-time role. So a guy like Eddie Rosario can kind of fit as that fourth outfielder and just come into play when the other fielders need rest.
Yeah, you know what? I like that a lot. And speaking of Cody Bellinger, that's who I went with. I said that, he seems like the most realistic target right now. And personally, like, I really, really like that option. I mean, he's MVP, Rookie of the Year, 2 times All-Star, 2020 World Series champion, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, 26 home runs, 97 RBI, 87 strikeouts last season, 307 batting average, 525 slugging percentage. I mean, he's a guy that we need. And I think with the injury concerns that he does have, he was injured for 2 seasons. Sounds like he's feeling fine and he's ready to go. And I believe him. And yeah, he didn't play very well when, he was coming back from injury and whatnot. But I think now that he doesn't have those concerns, I think he would be a big role in the team. And you're right. Maybe he wouldn't want to take a backseat role, which obviously you wouldn't. I think at that point, Kiermaier and Varsho would sort of take their turn, sort of coming out of the lineup. But yeah, I think Cody Bellinger is a great option for this team. And, we need guys that can drive in runs. And he's definitely a guy that can drive in some runs.
Oh, a great guy that the Blue Jays could be looking into. The only thing that turns me away from Cody Bellinger is just the fact I don't think the Jays are going to dish out a contract quite like he's looking for.
He's wanting a big contract. We talked about this in our Cody Bellinger episode, which actually did unbelievable. It's at like whatever, a bunch of views,
like
7K
around there. Yeah, you guys killed that video. So clearly there's some support for Cody Bellinger coming to the Blue Jays.
Hey, drop your comment in of who you think you'd rather go after, if it's Eddie Rosario or if it's Cody Bellinger. And I think we know what the answer would be, but tell us why not, what you guys think as well. We always want to hear your guys' opinions on this sort of stuff too. Opens up sort of our eyes to some guys too. So
yeah, Cody Bellinger is such a good player. I think it'd be a tough conversation to have with Dalton Varsho and Kevin Kiermaier. Obviously, Kiermaier signing only that $1 million deal. Do those guys want to take that backseat role and kind of be a guy that's not playing every day? Maybe Kevin Kiermaier at this point in his career, but I can't see Dalton Varsho hopefully getting into his prime. He's a younger guy.
You'd hope.
So I don't think that's a guy you want to take away playing time from, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I fully agree. I think Kiermaier would be the guy that would have to sub out. And of course, I mean, there's always injuries. There's always something. And we do really, really need that fourth outfielder, because one thing happens and then, oh my goodness, Nathan Lucas is going in, or, we're bringing Schneids in from the into the outfield, which I think they've been trying to do a little bit of, or that's their plan to anyway. So, I mean, we'll have to see. These are the 2 guys we liked. I don't know. Is there anybody else that really caught your eye?
Just before I get into that, there's a couple more, but if we can get Cody Bellinger on like a 1 to 2 year deal, which the problem is I don't think that's going to happen.
I agree.
That would be unbelievable for the Blue Jays. I think they already would have signed him if that was the case.
Yeah.
And the reason I didn't have Bellinger as well is because I think Eddie Rosario is just more realistic. You probably could ink him up to a 2 to 3 year deal
for sure, and
he could be serviceable in the outfield. But one guy that I was looking at a little bit would be reuniting for the Toronto Blue Jays is Randall Grichuk. This guy, it seems like he wants a lot of money in free agency as well. But at this point of his career, I think he wants to go to a winning team, and the Blue Jays should be able to offer that. Had 16 home runs last year, not amazing. Hit 267 again. It's not bad. One thing that people are bringing up still, and I kind of looked into, is Whit Merrifield again. And we already kind of went over this in our last episode. His hitting stats are a lot better than a lot of these players in the market right now. It's just the situation again. It's one of those things that Whit wouldn't be playing every day, and he's only really had success when he is playing every day.
Yeah.
So the role just wouldn't fit the player, unfortunately,
Yeah.
with Whit Merrifield.
And I 100% agree. I think Randall Grichuk, like I actually sort of followed his season last year because I think he played very well, like from a guy that was, sort of looked at as less than when he was here with the Toronto Blue Jays. I think he was pretty fan liked, honestly. Like I remember liking him in his last season.
Well, and I believe it was the Angels that DFA'd like a ton of players, right? And Randall Grichuk was one of them. So there was a little bit of rumblings that he might think about coming to the Blue Jays.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. That's an interesting piece because then he exactly like we said could be on that like 1 to 2 year, not a ton of money deal that would play as our fourth outfielder that could just sub in for guys once in a blue moon. I really don't mind that at all. I know. I don't even know if we've talked about Randall Grichuk a ton yet, but sort of an interesting player to keep your eye on. Again, not saying that that's going to happen, but a little bit of something to watch out for.
Yeah, it's just the market for these players. For some reason, it seems like players are wanting way more money than they're actually worth. And that's why it's been a crazy offseason with so many good players not being signed and us only being just over a week away from spring training. So, and it is interesting because we saw how that worked with guys like Brandon Belt last year, who didn't show up early in spring training and was horrible for the first 3 weeks of the season. Alejandro Kirk obviously had a better reason not to be there. He had I think it was his firstborn child.
Yeah.
It's one of his children anyway, which is obviously a good reason to miss spring training.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to be complaining about that. But even with that, he did struggle a little bit at the start of the season. And honestly, for him throughout the season, maybe that was the lack of preparation that he had. Who knows?
You know what? I do want to get into talking about Kevin Kiermaier a little bit more, and we want to do that right away in our sort of player profile. But stay tuned for our big third segment. It's on the City Connect jerseys. We know that everybody's interested in what they're going to be, so we're going to talk about that as well coming up. You shouldn't have to worry when you buy tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all your sports, music, comedy, theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. See the view from your seat when you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. And this is perfect. I mean, me and a couple of guys, we went to a Winnipeg Jets game. I talk about this all the time. It's a great time. And we found deals 4 rows from the glass, like super cheap tickets. Like it was ridiculous. And so, we saved on money with Game Time. A bunch of money. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, it must have been a good deal the amount of times you bring the story up.
Well, yeah, and then the good part is with Game Time is I got to save money on the tickets, so we spent all the extra money on beers.
Oh, it's perfect. Yeah.
So I'm
that
4 rows
for a great night out.
I'm 4 rows up, hammered, trying to walk to Moxie's down the street, and I'm doing one of these. Fun times. It was great. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. So, like we said, we will get into the City Connect jerseys because I'm pretty fired up to talk about them. I was all over Twitter today. Again, if you guys don't know, our Twitter is Braden5 Uosco Carter First 2. I have been, since this City Connect jersey sort of came out, I've been just going ham on Twitter. But before we get into that, we do want to discuss our player. We call them player profiles, but like they're sort of like our.
Now it's pretty much just like a player breakdown.
Yeah,
we've gotten into the players that are going to have significant roles on the team. So there's more than enough to talk about to have them just showcase their own segment here.
Exactly. We were doing sort of 2 players when it was sort of like, oh, if they're even going to be in the lineup. But now we're getting into Kevin Kiermaier, 4-time Gold Glove, 129 games played, 8 home runs, 36 RBI, 265 batting average, a 419 slugging percentage, and a WAR of 3.9. So for a guy that we say isn't maybe going to play a whole, maybe not, could take that backseat role, he's a fantastic player on paper for this Blue Jays team.
Oh, he had an unbelievable year last year. A lot of his stats were better than his career averages. I know he's a career 249 hitter, and you said he hit 265, so that's a pretty big jump right there. One thing I found very interesting with Kevin Kiermaier is his wins above replacement.
Yes.
His WAR was 3.9, and comparing to other notable players on the Blue Jays, Bo Bichette's was 4.9. So obviously a great year from Bo Bichette.
Makes sense, yeah.
One of the best players in the league. Vladdy, 2.0 WAR. George Springer, 2.1. So Kevin Kiermaier almost doubled their wins above replacement for a guy that was kind of under the radar as a signing last year.
Under the radar for a signing, but I think in Blue Jays fans' heart and in our hearts, he's a fan favorite. And I put out a tweet yesterday or 2 days ago, maybe saying it was when Justin Turner put on his Blue Jays cap, and I said, "Hey, I think this guy is going to be a next like fan favorite. I think he's going to be like here for the boys and going hard." But Kevin Kiermaier was that guy. He just was very likable. When he talked to the media, he was very, very likable and an easy guy to love. And I think that helps a lot too when you have the city backing you. And I think that's why he decided to come back for this year.
Oh, 100%. He won Toronto fans over pretty quickly. With him coming to the Blue Jays, though, initially, I'm like, I don't know if I want this guy. Obviously, in 2021, he stole Kirk's player info card.
Yeah.
It's the infamous clip. Then, obviously, just coming from a division rival, it's like, hey, are we going to like this guy? Like, I don't know. He's been for the Rays his entire career. And now he just decides to come to the Blue Jays. I don't know how I'm going to feel about this. But then obviously he's seen around the city just driving his bike around, decides that he likes to get in some cardio before his games. And then obviously in the home opener against the Detroit Tigers, Kerry Carpenter launches the ball straight center field. They're like, oh God, here's a home run off Manoah. Not a great start again opening day. Kevin Kiermaier comes out of nowhere and makes an unbelievable catch, one of the best catches of the season, and just made it very easy for Toronto Blue Jays fans to love him, especially with those new dimensions in there. Obviously, he's played in the Rogers Center a ton in his career, being with the Rays. So thing that he had to get used to, and clearly it did not take long for him to figure that out.
And you know what? Talking about him riding his bike sort of around Toronto, down by the stadium is beautiful. Like it is. Like I haven't. I didn't go last year, hoping to get back. Not hoping to get back this year. We're going this year. I'm putting that into the universe. We're going. Like we go to a lot of Minnesota Twins games because it's really close, easy to go to. There's a big difference between the outside of the stadium in Toronto compared to Minnesota. So it's probably a nice little ride for him.
Oh, absolutely. He's got to enjoy all the scenery in Toronto, the skyline, all those buildings, the CN Towers, obviously there. And with Kevin Kiermaier, one thing I noticed about him right away as well is he was always hyping up his teammates.
Yes.
A great dugout presence.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the times when Jano walked it off, it seemed like he was doing that very often. Kevin Kiermaier was always the last one waiting in the dugout for him. Him and Brandon Belt, a lot of times I saw waiting for him, obviously giving props to their catcher. And just such an easy guy to like on the team, like you said. The only thing with Kevin Kiermaier is, like I said, he did have a lot of career highs last year, especially offensively. We kind of did see the regression even at the end of the season last year.
Yeah.
But for a guy that has passed his prime, unfortunately, he looks like he is not skipping a beat at all, being, I believe it's 35.
Yeah, you know what? He is something else. I think baseball is one of those games where age obviously matters, but there will be exceptions to that, right? Like where in other sports, I mean, we're seeing with Ovechkin as good of a season he is doing, like having now, like he's ramped it up the past bunch of games. The age is starting to get to him, right? His legs are slowing down. But it seems like for Kevin Kiermaier, even Whit Merrifield, honestly, like they're still playing well at their age, and even Justin Turner. I mean, a lot of these guys are getting up there in age and still playing, having their career averages hit, still surpassing their career averages. So it is cool to see. And honestly, I am so pumped. Like Kevin Kiermaier is one of those guys that if he was a longtime Jay, like that'd be a jersey I could go see myself getting.
Well, I almost got his jersey last year. I mean, it was just so fun to watch. I mean, he was literally the perfect guy to have turn over your lineup with.
Yeah.
I mean, you wish George Springer had a better season because the amount Kevin Kiermaier, it seemed like starting these rallies was insane just to have George Springer ground and do a double play.
Yeah.
But if we can even get like Kevin Kiermaier's career averages of like a 250 hitter at the bottom of the lineup that has speed, is a great base runner, obviously plays unbelievable defense. Age is not impacting him whatsoever as he won the Gold Glove last year.
Yeah.
In center field.
And you know what? He's a smart player too. I think that doesn't get talked about enough in some baseball players. Kevin Kiermaier is a very smart baseball player, right? On the base pass, he knows what he's supposed to be doing when, unlike some of the guys, Vlad. So it's nice to have. He's got that little bit of a veteran presence, know what he's supposed to do out there. He knows his role. A big thing for any sports team is to have guys that know their roles, that know what they have to go out there and do. So yeah, I think he fits like a glove.
Oh, he embraced his role so well.
Yeah.
I mean, even in interviews, he's like, "Oh, what is your expected role to be on this team?" And he's like, I'm just trying to put the ball in play, get on base for the big dogs. Like he embraces the number 9 hitter on this team, and he was the best 9 hitter in the league last year for a reason, right?
Yeah.
A guy that knows why he's here, has fun doing it, and can remain serious and still efficient on the base paths and in the field and in the box. It's clearly a thing that some guys have a tough time balancing, having fun on the diamond and being serious in the right situations.
Yeah, and I mean, you know what? That is a big component for us. We always talk about attitude, and you know what? It's some guys we sort of bag on and say, they got to be more serious. But then you have a guy like Kevin Kiermaier that I think has that really really good balance of knowing when to, you know, turn off the joking and the silliness and you know play serious. And then he knows when, if they're winning and they're having a good time and somebody makes a great play, he'll show that. He shows it really, really well. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, one team that has been winning a lot recently is the Vancouver Canucks in the NHL. Obviously, we're big Canucks fans. I believe they're still first in the league right now, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
So
sir.
yeah, a huge feat for them, and that takes us to our 24/7 streaming channel. If you guys want to see the Canucks play, obviously the Jets are doing pretty well this year as well. Another Canadian team. Edmonton was on a huge run. What was it, 15 in a row, 16 in a row?
Yeah, something like that. One
And
or
then
two.
yeah, obviously ended Vegas a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys ever want to tune in to NHL, NFL, there's college sports, pretty much whatever sport you guys want to see will be on our 24/7 Locked On streaming channel. So just go to YouTube and subscribe, whether you want to digest your content at 3 a.m., 3 p.m., at noon, whatever it is. Just tune into our 24/7 Locked On streaming channel.
We are going to get hardcore into the City Connect jerseys. I am pumped. And we'll do that right away. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all of your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same game parlays, exclusive props, and more. And I said I was down. I was down a ton from the Super Bowl. I was down a ton from the NHL All-Star game. Dumb. Don't ever bet on the NHL All-Star game.
Didn't think that needed to be said.
You know what? If it's FanDuel, they had some good props. I'm just also an idiot. So, but you know what? I've been betting on NHL, started to make some money back today. So we're rolling again.
And like you said, when you bet on games that maybe aren't necessarily the most entertaining to watch, it makes it pretty entertaining pretty quick when you throw money on it.
That's right. Shout out Skylar Peters for giving me a lock today. It hit. Fun. It's always fun when I win. Just visit fanduel.com/locked on and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA.
Yeah, it's your time.
I have been over the moon to talk about these City Connect jerseys.
Yeah, the Blue Jays finally get approved for City Connect jerseys. Obviously, you've been squirreling all over Twitter today, thinking about some ideas for the City Connect jerseys for the Blue Jays. And I'm going to let you start off this segment because of how fired up you are. What do you think the Jays Connect jerseys are going to look like?
Okay, so a little piece of me thinks that they're going to be white.
Interesting. With the Jays already have the whites and the grays.
Yes.
So I wonder how that's going to fit in.
I don't know. I just think they showed off some white hats, I think, sort of new white hats. So I'm thinking there might be some connection. Not necessarily what I'm hoping for personally. I would love to see the black jerseys with the I think it was like the 2000s logo that says like Blue Jays on it. It was great. I actually miss those. Like when I watched, started watching as a kid, those were the jerseys, right? So I love those. The black looks so clean. Another good sort of cool idea, I think you said too, was the full just black Blue Jays jersey with like the current, like just how the jerseys look now, but full like black and white.
I think you go with the retro Jays logo as well.
Ooh,
I think that would look amazing.
like
I always
this one.
not quite. It's
Okay.
a little bit different than that.
Okay.
I don't think we have it even on our hats here. But with the Jays black jerseys, I always just think about like Jose Bautista wearing those jerseys.
Yeah.
Edwin's another guy. For some reason, Brett Lowry looked really sick in those jerseys.
Yeah.
I don't know why. That guy was just a hothead to say the least, but so entertaining to watch. And it just brings me back to the old Jays and like guys I kind of grew up with, like Adam Wins, Colby Rasmus sort of types.
Yeah.
So
totally.
I think bringing those blacks would be interesting. One thing that I think they could do is because like Boston has their City Connects based off of the Boston Marathon colors.
Yeah.
I think one thing that would be cool if the Jays incorporated was something like with Terry Fox. Terry Fox ended his run in Thunder Bay. And maybe even just with Terry Fox, just how proud he was to be Canadian. Obviously, his run for cancer research did amazing. He raised so much money for cancer. So what I was thinking is maybe you have like the Canadian flag on the front and then like a red stripe here, and then red numbers with the red name bars. I'm
Okay.
not exactly sure what the hat, like maybe all red, maybe you kind of mix it up with some red and white, but kind of Canadian theme.
Okay, I like that. I think that's definitely a possibility. What I don't want to see them do is go to an all red jersey.
Well, they already have those all
Yeah.
red jerseys that
So
people don't seem to like.
I see. I like them, but I think that I don't want another one. You know what I mean?
I think
Leave it as is.
where I was getting at though was the players. Even the players seem like it's bad luck to wear those jerseys. I
Yeah,
know
I
Jose
know.
Barrios used to like pitching in that jersey,
Yeah,
but then the bats would just go cold, or somebody would have a bad day, and it just never seemed to work out.
yeah,
So it kind of seemed like that those jerseys were getting shunned in the Blue Jays clubhouse.
yeah. So a couple other things I've heard is the old um, they had blue and white like pullover jerseys. So no buttons, just straight pullovers. I think they were like a mesh too, back in the day as well. So I could definitely see something like that happening. I don't personally love the pullovers. Like if I'm gonna buy a City Connect jersey, I'm the odds of me buying a pullover jersey are so slim to none. But I mean, let's be real here. They send out the City Connect jerseys and the order goes in like that. So
See how like with the Jays recent like hats especially, I found a lot of them to be like very weird. How likely do you think that these City Connect jerseys just don't look good at all?
well, I'm gonna tell you right now, if I see anything with the six on them, I'm gonna throw up. I'm gonna throw up on this podcast, just immediately onto this table. I don't want to see anything like that. Um, and yeah, I think me and you did a video last year. Um,
There's some like ice cream hats
ice
or something.
cream
It was
hat. It's like, what
weird.
are we doing? Like, why are we putting out this ugly garbage? So I'm praying to God that it's either a black jersey or just something that looks super, super clean. I don't want like a whole bunch of crap on it. I just, I wouldn't mind like this logo or one of the older logos to come back. That'd be cool. Um, don't love the pullover. I know a lot of people are saying they want the pullover. Personally, not so much, but I get it. If those do come back, they are going to look very cool. So I'd probably end up scooping one anyway. What are your likelihood of like? Are you a guy that's going to cop this like immediately, or like no matter what, or are you going to like wait and?
I'm definitely waiting. I don't really trust the Jays branding, how they've been doing it recently. So I'm gonna let some other people buy it out and just kind of see how it looks. Maybe it looks a little bit better on some people. But with those ice cream hats, people seem to love those too. I think they sold out right away.
Yeah,
So
like what are we doing?
maybe the Jays fans do like a little bit of things to be out there and not as simple as other teams.
You know what though? I as much as they said those hats sold out, I have not seen one single person ever wear that hat out.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they only made 10 and sold
Yeah,
out the
that's probably
10,
what it
but
was.
I don't know what happened there.
Yeah.
But I personally was never gonna buy those hats.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen a couple. I mean, even their spring training hats are like a not a mesh, but like a it looks like cushion almost. What is that
I,
called?
I feel like cotton
Like knit. Yeah, like
or like the you
yeah.
talking about like the mesh back
No,
more?
not the mesh. No, no, no.
No,
It's
I don't
it's
know.
something they just released. It looks
You're out
like
to lunch again. I never
again,
know
it
what to
looks like
say.
garbage. I don't know. I could be. Who knows? I could be over the moon right now. I'm not sure. But no, they released some other hats that looked like I didn't love them either. But you know what? Everybody's got a little bit different taste. But personally, bring me the black Blue Jays jersey with that like early 2000s logo, and I will be over the moon.
I don't think you can go wrong with those. Thank you guys for watching. You guys have been killing it with the views, all the interactions you have, comments, liking, subscribing. It's been awesome to see on our end. We always appreciate everything you guys do. It helps us like kind of figure out what you guys like. Obviously, we posted a top five, or I guess it was Mount Rushmore, sorry,
Yeah.
of the Toronto Blue Jays, and it didn't seem like it was perceived too well. But you guys seem to like the more current Blue Jays stuff, so we're gonna continue rolling with that. Yeah, so subscribe if you guys haven't already.
Oh
It's like
yeah, we might be able to get to 1,000 today. Is that right?
yeah, we're
When
getting
this
close. I
video,
think last time I checked, it was at 989. So I don't
okay.
know, it might be even up by now. So if you guys want to help us out, get the last few to 1,000. That was our goal before spring training, and I'm hoping that we can hit it.
Yeah.
But before we head out for the day, I just wanted to bring up our 24/7 streaming channel. Like I always say, whatever sports you guys want to watch, it will be on there 24/7 at any time of the day. So just go to our 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube and subscribe.